So how optimistic or pessimistic am I feeling right now that we'll achieve the energy transition in, let's say, 30 years? I guess I'm a bit optimistic and pessimistic. I think that we'll probably do some great things in 30 years. I do see a lot of changes. I do see a lot of transition happening. But I think that in 30 years, we'll still be a ways away from the transition we need. Not just from the engineering and technical side, but also from the social side. You know, the equity and justice and making sure that there's, energy for all and that we're not fighting as many wars over energy. In terms of, my own personal life, I think that both the energy transition as well as climate change are going to have a significant impact on how I live my life going forward. Certainly, the types of fuels I use and the types of technology I use are going to change. I think, the switch to EV cars is going to be quite broad. I do think that even in our houses, we're going to see a lot of changes, a lot of electrification. And so, some of those things I think are going to be good. Some of them are a little bit like fuel switching. But I think there's also going to be some deeper things. I think potentially international travel is going to be a little bit less. I think that we're going to feel a little bit more cautious with food security because I do think climate change will impact, how we grow food, where we grow food, and until we adjust to the impacts, I think that there will be definitely some insecurity and some uncertainty in how our economies are doing and our markets are doing. So I think it's really important for people to adjust expectations a little bit, but also to think about, how life can still be happier and joyful, potentially with a little less stuff and a little less doing of things, right? I think that, potentially there's a bit of joy in the changes that we'll see in terms of living simpler lives and being a little less consumer focused. Anyway, that's my hope.
When I think about the future of the energy transition, I'm feeling quite optimistic, and there's a couple of reasons why I feel this way. The first one is when it comes to our technological advancements, we are in no way lacking. If we wanted to implement a technology today, we can absolutely do it. But the question becomes, as we try to solve one problem, are we creating an even bigger one? And I think if we're able to answer this question when it comes to the energy transition, we'll be in much better shape. Another reason why I'm feeling optimistic is because I feel that if we're able to collaborate across industries, across universities, across international organizations, and we work together to really try and hone our skills when it comes to the energy transition, we will be able to be successful. But in order for us to be able to do this, we need to be respectful of each other and give different stakeholder groups an equal opportunity to share their concerns when it comes to the energy transition so that we're able to have sustainable long-term solutions that can benefit us for generations to come. And when I think about my role as a chemical engineer, as a future chemical engineer, I think about how I can use my background knowledge and how I can implement it into different areas. And so, because of this, I'm feeling quite optimistic about the future and the potential that we all have in order to make our future more sustainable.
Hi, I'm Mark Franklin, and I'm a tech steward. I'm cautiously optimistic that we in Canada and around the globe will achieve energy transition within 30 years. Why? 3 points to share. One, here in Canada, I've been noticing some bright spots in our policies and realities in the move toward net zero. Even Alberta is reaching its goal to get away from coal power faster than expected by 2023. And despite being the home of much of our fossil fuel extraction, Alberta is also the country's solar and wind power capital, leading the way with carbon capture and initiatives that recognize the eventual move toward renewables. Two, worldwide, well, a lot of things need to happen to get us to net zero. And it may be that the problem needs to get worse before it gets better. I got a useful perspective on this reading Kim Stanley Robinson's insightful novel, The Ministry for the Future. Set in the near future, the book starts off with a catastrophic event that kills millions, a tragic byproduct of climate change. It then shows the hard work required of leaders tasked with addressing climate change, and this is the Ministry of the Future group. It was interesting to learn about the initiatives depicted in the book, including many that focus on the energy transition that lead the world toward a sustainable future. And third, in my work in career development, especially working with a lot of young engineering and tech talent, I'm noticing more and more people are wanting to work towards these solutions, energy transition solutions, climate change solutions. And with programs like Tech Stewardship Practice Program, coupled with employer initiatives working in this space, and armed with career management skills, I'm cautiously optimistic that we can achieve the energy transition within 30 years.